it's really impossible to practice sex unless you are absolutely 100% young, fit, and nothing has ever happened to you.
I was just thinking about situations where sex is not as available because of physical restrictions, limitations, that actually it is still possible to have that sense of intimacy between people.
I use the word sexual energy a lot because only from the perspective that it is a far more enriching substance than just pleasure, because it has a lot more components and layers to it. It's really helpful to expand the definition of what sex is. And at the same time, it helps us to understand the nature of what sex is. It is an experience of spending time with a person that you love, filling up with some nourishing energy, feeling love with each other, feeling connection with each other. I think ultimately that is what sex is. We are very flexible in how this can be received. And in contrast, the perspective on sex that we normally see in the mainstream is very narrow. This has to be done and that has to be done, and only this makes good sex. It's very performative. So it makes a lot of people feel that they have to be essentially some kind of athletes almost, to have good sex because of all these physiological requirements that need to happen. And the more the culture develops in that direction, the more pressure people feel that, it's not even enough to do things that you could have got away with, in quotation marks, 20, 30 years ago. But now, to say that you have a good sex life, you have to perform like real feats from your body.
Yeah.
And I think that what happens is that, real life happens. We all live a real life. We don't live in this Instagram world where we are, athletic, hot lovers every day. Things happen, illness, stress, emotional problems, big life events, children,
Yes,
accidents.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually something I work with a lot with people. They come to me from after all sorts of different life events that might have affected their health or their body. And they feel so unforgiving to themselves. A failure, like they shouldn't be like this, that they should be able to perform 100% like everybody else, that it's unacceptable that they can't have sex, in this way or in that way. And I always draw a comparison. Well, let's say you were in a car accident and you injured your back. Would you feel that it's unacceptable for you to have an injured back and to have to take care of yourself in some way and to manage it when you are in a relationship with a partner, for them to be aware of it and for them to be aware, I don't know, how you need to sleep or how you need to sit? It's very normal for us to be compassionate and loving to each other, accepting the life events and the well-being of the other person where it's at, and to be nurturing to each other in that way. Except people feel that then they're not allowed that in sex, that they have to be performing on a certain athletic level in sex. Sex is a time that you spend in that sexual energy, being saturated with it, being nourished by it. The love that you feel between you, physical love, is a really powerful substance. The connection that you feel between you is a really powerful substance. These are the most valuable nutrients and outcomes of sex. And actually, we are very flexible in how we can access them. And to be compassionate to ourselves and to look into sex as a nourishing energy and an experience of love and connection that is available to all of us, regardless of where we're at, what our bodies are like, what we can perform. It will be different for different people depending on what they can do. But the experience itself, in a nutshell like this, is available to everybody. There's always a complete experience of energy and love and connection that is possible with with your body, within your life, within whatever limitations you have.
Comes down to that education piece as well, doesn't it? That actually it's not this blinkered, this is the way that it should be done. But actually
Absolutely, yes.
knowing that
Yes.
there are multiple ways in which we can adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And education, then we come to specific practical areas as well. Like you said, within the conventional paradigm of sex, it's it's really impossible to practice sex unless you are absolutely 100% young, fit, and nothing has ever happened to you, you know? It's about, yes, it's about learning practices that allow that, and they give you new areas where you can have a very fulfilling experience with that sexual energy and love and connection in a different way without these conditions, without putting all that pressure on your resources, on your energy. So it really liberates your sex life. But of course, in the mainstream practice, we are always funneled into just this one particular athletic kind of sex. And if you can't have that, then it's basically all or nothing in a way. And that's actually one of the reasons why most sex lives collapse without any particular events, why in relationships sex stops as a natural trajectory for most couples. Eventually sex will stop. It will either stop completely, people will stop having sex, or it will sort of be kind of half alive. You know, it will happen every now and again, occasionally, a little bit lifeless when it does happen. And the reason for it is the same, is that inflexibility, a lot of pressure of how sex needs to be, and without sort of being given an awareness that sex can happen in much more varied ways in just as a fulfilling way without putting all that pressure on your resources, on your energy. And if people had that, then, you know, a lot fewer couples would stop having sex. Yeah.